that is equity, in that Chief O'Day and really anybody covered under the police union contract, which I understand that he's not under the police union contract, but whether you're a high-ranking city official or a union contract employed city official, you have a huge structure protecting your rights that ordinary citizens don't have. Supposedly we have, a diligent justice system about the Constitution, but I think if you're honest with yourself and have honest conversations with people in the city, they'll know that Chief O'Day is getting a velvet glove treatment that Glenn Waco and Marcus Allen Cooper did not get when there was a shooting near Salt and Straw, near Alberta. He's getting a special elite edition of justice that Teresa Rayford didn't get when dozens of police cars came to the corner of Division and 82nd. Unfortunately, the city, and as far as changes that come along with that, I think even though there was some post-Occupy assessment of how the city and the police force deals with civil disobedience, I think in retrospect there's still been some major problems in the past 3 years. A huge amount, the time of 6 jurors plus an alternate was eaten up for 4 days on the fruitless prosecution of Teresa Rayford for civil disobedience about Black lives. And it would have been better if the city had a policy that said, sometimes in the overarching scope of prosecution, we don't need to send our police to support trials. But you see, it's very difficult for you as electeds to second guess and second judge what DA Underhill may do mistakenly or not. But we don't really know how much police officer time has been lost to what some people would say are frivolous prosecutions or political prosecutions. And that's an issue that's very germane for a number of us here. I've seen Keith Davis, and part of the reason we're here is because the artist was so impacted by her arrest at last week's COAB meeting that she came to try and communicate to all of us how ridiculous it is for a person who believes they're working to uphold the Constitution to be subjected to arrest and booking. I think, especially the three of you should individually or whatever your open meeting allows, think about the idea that in the situation most recently where Keith and the artist were asked to leave, were arrested at the COAB, does Oregon law have a provision where they could have simply been cited downstairs and kept away from the building, instead of opening up this huge process of plea bargains and trials and officers having to prepare more reports and testimony? I know that you're in a difficult situation of balancing things. We also have this weird situation where I think it might be clear for Commissioner Fritz now. James Young is the one unlucky individual who had to take the brunt of all my frustration from the 2-hour CRC meeting where he got splashed with water. And what happened there, and apparently now Acting Chief Don Henderson is sort of in agreement with me. We started a meeting with a public video of Bob's camera being grabbed. Every sane, rational person, including some of the people that work for the police department, looked at that and said, that's not really what we want police to be doing, unless we can find some ultra-exceptional circumstance that justifies it. There wasn't any ultra-exceptional circumstance. After 2 CRC hearings and stuff like that, the acting chief of police eventually said, I could have just, or my predecessor could have just, even a token discipline, the lowest level of discipline against that officer would have stopped that time-consuming, something should be aired in public. Obviously during the days of, when Thurgood Marshall and Dr. King were doing their struggle, we don't want to whitewash things, but we don't want justice to really take that much work. That struggle is still being carried on. Thurgood Marshall and is dead from natural death. Dr. King assassinated, and still 50, 60, 70 years, many of the people they were fighting for don't feel justice has trickled down to them. And we can't always, as electeds, I know you can't just why not go? Just cut this one loose. But there can be procedural things where you look at if police, especially in the situation where police time is so precious, and I'm not totally on board with people who say, oh, we're under police, we need to recruit more. I'll never be in full agreement with those people because I believe that communities can step up and have other problem-solving tools where police work is continually diminished as a part of the city budget and a part of the way we have a civil society. But since some people in the PPV would say we have a policing shortage, well, of course we have a policing shortage because the officers had to waste their time, in the opinion of many people, going to the trial of arrest record, sitting on stand, giving testimony that many people didn't find credible. And who wants to work for a police department that goes through that? It's personally relevant to me. My situation is I have to be unique because these other people we're talking about, they were not quite dragged out of public meetings. The artist and Keith, and also Barry Joe Stoll right here in this building. The situation developed where the police removed and arrested him on the premises. In my situation with the water, at least I wasn't arrested until a week later. It still took 8 hours to go through the process of booking, but a letter, certified letter or something, could have been a procedure that would have let those police resources not be invested in me. I could have shown up, talked to the detective, not had to sit in booking for 8 hours. And even though I have some regrets about what Mr. Young was subjected to, I think when we look at what's happened in Portland in the last 60 days, there's serious public concerns about police process. And as a man and an individual, I could apologize to Mr. Young for making him take the whole blunt of citizen frustration, my personal frustration with the police and accountability process. But instead, there's 2 days budgeted for a trial in July. And I think it's our job as adults trying to maximize public good in the civil society to be open to what are the legal avenues to resolve things without going to the courts. The judges will always tell us, we wish you could have fixed this before you got here. And I hope that we may, within the boundaries of what's legal and appropriate in public meetings, find a way to have diversionary resolutions in the situations where, I don't know if Barry Joe's trial is finished, but that was, he's a unique individual also, but I think when we reflect on the fact that a man had an episode in the city council chambers, was subjected to 77 days of incarceration, and then once released from incarceration, we still expect him as an individual to maintain his mental health and go through the pre-trial and trial process. That's pretty optimistic of us. So perhaps, I may try and implement this with the auditor later, if we could look, in the last 18 months, maybe longer. I know 2 people who were arrested for civil disobedience here in front of City Hall, short traffic obstruction. When Senator Wyden had his town hall